Okay, sir. So should we start? It's 11 o'clock. Vinayji, can we start? Vinayji, it's 11.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you everyone, and welcome to all to another webinar from Classic Holidays. Today we have the Alcon Victor Group along with Indie Hospitality presenting their hotels with us. We also have a very special guest with us today. It's Mr. Nikhil Desai. He's the Managing Director of the Goa Tourism Development Corporation. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today. Uh, before starting off, just a few announcements. We will be announcing the winners for the Sunday contest. The winners are as below: Ms. Shweta Chaudhary from Mile High, Jyoti Raghav from KHR, and Ritu Bhargav from Regalia Holidays. So thank you very much. Sorry, congratulations everybody, and thank you very much for attending our webinars. Again, Siddharth will be copy pasting the future webinar details in the chat box for everybody else to see. Please register for whatever you feel necessary. A very special welcome, a very special welcome to our partners from the Philippines. So Mabuhay Pilipinas and Magandang happen to all the agents joining in from the Philippines. Salamat po for being here with us today on this webinar. So without wasting much time, Nikhilji, if you can hear me, thank you very much once again for joining us today. We all know that today we are here with the Goa Hotels, and as being a part of Classic Holidays, being a part of Goa tourism for almost 22 years, we have been promoting Goa on a very high level. Any updates, anything that you want to share with us? Anything else that that Goa tourism is now going to do once we are back into the business, once this COVID is done with?
Well, I would put it that it's going to be a world of exciting possibilities post victory over COVID, which looks not very far away. I would say overall, our country, given the size of 1.3 billion population, has done remarkably a good job by ensuring that the disease remains well within its control, even compared to some of the developed economies. Having said that, the battle is far from over. We shouldn't rest on our laurels, because this is what is going to determine the India of the current century. We have to make the best use of this adversity rather than getting disappointed with the developments. I know it's been a very tough 2020. We have been having challenges one after another, and this one perhaps was one of the biggest challenges faced by humanity probably in the past many decades or even a century. But having said that, despite our technological achievements, we have seen how vulnerable the economy can be to the vagaries and of nature, as well as a disease like COVID. One virus has literally challenged the entire world and brought our economy, the entire humankind, onto its knees. But having said that, I think the government of Goa especially has done excellent job. We were having zero COVID cases post April 3rd, and we had a total count of 7. But in the last 8-10 days, when we started getting stranded Goans from other parts of the country and also other parts of the world, that's when the numbers have seen a slight increase. But then the state government has been following all the protocols, especially at the border checkpost. People are being tested. Those who come from outside are being tested. And that's when we are able to detect these cases. They are promptly quarantined. They are also sent for treatment to a specially identified COVID hospital in South Goa. And that's how Goa has gotten on top of this disease. And very soon we want to go back to that scenario where not a single case is detected in Goa in the coming days. And of course, we are hoping that those who have been diagnosed with this disease recover themselves soon. But having said that, you know that the hospitality industry is in a complete shutdown mode on account of this lockdown announced by the central government. And looking back, we feel that could we have done things differently? I guess not, because given the very nature of this disease, it's so much prone to transmission through various modes that there was little that we could have done. Now, what we all that we should do now is to reflect upon our future, decide the way ahead for Goa, and hopefully look forward to this disease getting under control, so that the tourism industry can come back to its normal, the way it was functioning pre this COVID incident. We have been interacting with most of the stakeholders, the Travel and Tourism Association of Goa. We have also constituted a survey which has been now responded by over 500 individuals. They have told the government what are their expectations, what is the kind of suffering that they have gone through, what are the challenges that they have been facing, and what are the wish lists that they have for the hospitality industry. So we have put a special team in place trying to absorb and soak up all this relevant information from our industry stakeholders, so as to come out with a very well defined comprehensive strategy which will help us overcome the losses that the industry has been facing. It's been an extremely tough year. People are being laid off. As we know, since there is no business, the temporary staff were the first ones to get affected. And Goa, with its population of about 1.5 million, we get more than 6-7 times of our population base as tourists every year. And of course, we are dependent to a fair amount, to a large extent, on people from other parts of the country who work here, especially during the season, and then they migrate during the typically low season periods of monsoons. In a normal year, Goa tourism always used to look forward towards raindrop tourism or monsoon tourism, and we were all preparing ourselves for this particular year for promoting raindrop tourism. But as we know, due to shutdown from March onwards, we have lost one important segment, that is the segment which used to tap into the domestic tourism segment, especially during their summer vacation. So that's a complete washout, and it looks like the monsoons aren't going to be that um, anything different as well. Why I say this is that we are far from that stage where we could say with confidence that we have achieved victory over this disease. Point A. Point B is, on account of economic turmoil, probably you would see a lot less people traveling to Goa immediately, probably after the lockdown measures are removed. And see, the very fact that a lot of people would be postponing their plans. They probably may not immediately like to travel as soon as this disease has been brought under control, because of the various fears that they have in their minds, probably when people talk about the second wave, etc., and all that. So these are the things that have been going on. This is what we have gathered by talking to a host of tour operators, travel agents, etc. So these are challenging times, but I could say with certainty that the state government has put a economic revival committee. They have come out with a certain set of suggestions, and those suggestions have been highlighted at the highest level. A meeting has been convened to discuss on all these issues in the coming days. And as we are fighting COVID, let me assure you, a lot of background research and work is going on as to how to revive this sector. We may not have come out with anything specific announcement as of now, but very soon, no sooner we get a grip on the issues faced and what we have to do and what kind of amount it is going to cost us, you will very soon see a set of announcement which will be in the best benefit of this industry.
Thank you, Nikhilji. I just wanted to ask you one more thing. Just this last week, I was seeing the news, and somebody from Goa. I'm not sure if it was a politician or who it was. He was saying that in the near future, when Goa restarts, Goa tourism, all the hotels will be asking them for a COVID-free certificate. Is it true, firstly? And if it is true, don't you think it is going to be a little bit of a problem? Because if a family of 4 wants to come to Goa, they will have to spend around 20,000 rupees first to get 4 certificates, and then they will have to spend another set of amount of money to then enter and stay for Goa for 2 or 3 or 4 days.
Well, as I said, there's a lot of uncertainty. Nobody has the final answer as to if what time do we open. If we open, what are the sets of protocols and rules that we should follow? How do we keep Goa safe? how do other visitors also feel safe while visiting the state. So there are a lot of theories and points that are being discussed and deliberated, but let me assure you, no such decision has been taken. It is only in the thought process that people are thinking of various options as to how do we tackle this in the days to come. How do we give a semblance of safety and security to the guests who are visiting the state. But no such final decision has been taken. But as I said before, we are actively coordinating with the industry, getting their viewpoint. They have been reaching out to us very and the industry have been sharing what is on their wish list. So we will be definitely considering all these points, and no solution unless it is a pragmatic solution is going to work. And yes, as you rightly said, if we make it economically so much out of reach of the average man, then definitely it's going to affect us very hard. So how do we tread the thin line between keeping Goa safe and ensuring the safety and security of the guests who visit the state, and how do we do it in a very reliable manner as well as in a cost effective manner? These are the things that probably will need more deliberation. The situation is changing every single day. A few days back we were just below 50,000 cases. Today we have crossed 100,000 cases. So the spread of this disease, which pockets are they coming from, all this will determine what set of protocols will be in place for plane travelers, for railway travelers, for bus travelers, for people who prefer to drive down into the state. So as I speak to you, all these factors are being considered, and you will very soon have a set of guidelines the moment we come on top of this situation.
Thank you, sir. And any ideas or any terms of innovation that Goa tourism, now that we are in a planning stage for the future, anything new that Goa tourism is coming up with so that we can attract more and more travelers to Goa?
Well, if you had asked me this question somewhere in January or February, I would have been very happy to list out a slew of measures that are underway and which do require a lot of capital infusion. But as you know, with the fall in tax collection, with the fiscal deficit which is going to balloon, and this is a challenge that every state is going to face. Now, suddenly you see our priorities have undergone a sea change, and when that happens, I can definitely spell out what are the plans that are on the anvil. But then I would tread with caution because then probably the timelines are going to be shifted. We are looking at a little bit of uncertainty in terms of funding these particular projects and proposals, etc. But then I am a very diehard optimist. I think this too shall pass. We shall emerge very stronger. The hospitality industry, especially in the whole country, has been a very, very important contributor to our GDP, almost around 8% of the total employment, and close to 10% of the GDP contribution for in the hospitality industry is a factor that one just cannot look away. So the government, both central as well as the individual state governments, will have to come out with a slew of measures in order to protect this industry, protect the jobs, and to make sure that the industry grows. Now, having said that, a lot of measures have been planned for Goa, especially as we know, Goa has been emerging as a very strong contender in adventure tourism. 3-4 years back, if somebody would have said adventure tourism in Goa, they would have laughed at it. But then, last year we won the National Tourism Award for the best adventure tourism state in the whole of country. So that speaks volumes about the strides that we have made. Wedding tourism, of course, has been growing from strength to strength year on year. But then this year definitely is going to be a challenge. We are also, as I speak to you, we are building a 1400-seater convention center facility in Panjim through central assistance from the Swadesh Darshan scheme. Old Goa, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Monument site, has already been selected by the Government of India Ministry of Tourism for funding under the Prashad scheme for spiritual rejuvenation of pilgrimage places. As we know, Old Goa is a very important tourism pilgrimage place in Goa. So we are expecting a tranche of 50 crore funding this year, so that the work on that development of this infrastructure can begin in the right earnest. Goa's Kolwa Beach in South Goa has also been selected as one of the iconic spots to be developed under the Ministry of Tourism scheme. So we are looking forward to getting funding there, improving the infrastructure there, and building a world-class facility on Kolwa and nearby beaches as well. We are also proposing to the central government to release the third tranche of Swadesh Darshan hinterland circuit in North Goa, so that the beautiful, majestic, verdant interiors of Goa can also be showcased to lakhs of tourists who visit our state every year. So apart from that, the state government has also been focusing on improving the safety, security scenario, maintaining the cleanliness on the beaches, ensuring that the roads, the Mopa International Airport is going to be a game changer. Um, uh, uh, we were expecting the first flights to land from December next year onwards. Probably there may be a slight change in the schedules now that the lockdown has happened and there has been a disruption in availability of labor, etc. But let me assure you that once Mopa becomes a reality, it is going to be a game changer. Not only are we going to increase the number of flights from what we are seeing an average of 165, 170 flights during the peak season, landing and taking off at Goa Dabolim Airport. Plus, there is a long waiting list of international carriers who are wishing to have direct flights into Goa. That's going to be a reality very soon once Mopa Airport becomes functional in North Goa. So, along with this slew of measures, government is also building a lot of highways connecting the north to the south of the state, as well as east and west part of the state. 4-lane, 6-laning highways built under assistance from Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. So what you are going to see is an excellent road network. Goa has been always safe and secure. We are going to further consolidate and build up on that, and we are definitely going to bet very high on the MICE segment. As I said, 1400-seater convention center is in the pipeline. Plus, the private properties, especially the Taj, they have opened recently a 1,000-seater convention facility in Dona Paula in their recently opened resort. We have the Grand Hyatt, which also has a similar facility in North Goa. So similarly, hotels are also betting big on MICE and other such events. And in the years to come, with improved connectivity, cost-effective connectivity, I see no reason why Goa cannot emerge. I'm definitely optimistic that Goa will emerge as one of the best places for MICE tourism in not only the country but also the whole of Asia as well. And we are betting very big on that. Plus, a lot of interventions in terms of marketing the state in new and emerging markets. We'll have to explore new markets. So all that is in the pipeline. We are looking forward towards finalization of the tourism master plan and policy, which would have been finalized by now had it not been for the lockdown. Also, the industry is gearing and looking forward for formation of the Goa Tourism Board, which will be run by professionals with input from the industry and other stakeholders, which will take Goa and its marketing to a whole new level altogether. We are also looking at identifying a site in North Goa which will cater exclusively to events tourism. So you can have a large music festivals, EDMs, etc., or event-based, outdoor event-based like bike festivals which happen in Goa, but they are facing a lot of problem in availability of infrastructure. So we are working with other government departments as well in identifying a suitable piece of land which can be developed as a permanent fixture for various international events, music festivals, EDMs, etc. So a lot of these activities are in the pipeline. We are getting a lot of support from Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, and as a result, I can say with confidence that funding should not be an issue. It's only that we should be able to get these projects off the ground quickly. I'm also very happy to tell you that the erstwhile Fort Aguada Jail, which is a 350-year-old heritage structure, is also undergoing a major renovation under the Swadesh Darshan scheme, and we hope to throw it open to the public in the coming season. By September, October, everything will be ready. So with this, it will open up a whole new dimension in cultural and heritage tourism in the state. It's a very beautiful property. Will showcase the liberation struggle of Goa against the Portuguese, modeled similarly on lines of Cellular Jail in Andamans. Very well accessible place with the sound and light show and all these activities. I'm sure Goa, this is the time to reinvent, rediscover Goa, repackage Goa, and definitely scale up the sustainability ladder as far as tourism is concerned.
Thank you. So just I wanted to ask you one question. Actually, this question was asked by a lot of agents that knew that you were coming in today. So the question will be asked by my father.
Mr. Desai, I'm Suresh Doshi from Classic Holidays. We do around
Hello, Mr. Doshi.
Yeah, we do around 25,000 room nights in a year for Goa hotels. So my question is, when do we can expect you to welcome the tourists to Goa, and when can the normal flow of tourists you see then in the normal way when all the tourists can come?
these days I'm having lovely dreams in the middle of the night, wherein I do get calls in the middle of the night from esteemed tour operators like you, and I visualize that Goa is already open, and when I open up my eyes, I see into the reality. So just like you, we are also very keen and we are keeping our fingers crossed in ensuring that the state of Goa assumes normalcy, normal operations very soon. But as we know, it's easier said than done. We are trying to fight a disease the likes of which has not been witnessed by mankind before. So it is extremely important that we have a big battle on our hands, and it's very important that we come out of this, because a lot of factors will drive when Goa opens up finally. Case scenario one, as of date, there is no certainty, because as we all know, the Ministry of Home Affairs has been issuing guidelines and after every phase of lockdown, and every state is bound to follow these guidelines. We cannot dilute these guidelines. So till 31st of May, as we all know, hotels and hospitality businesses will be closed. So the states can only make it more stricter. We cannot relax these, we cannot make it dilute these guidelines. So the next milestone will be on 31st of May, when revised guidelines are likely to be issued, with the hope that we manage to finally flatten the curve and we get a semblance of victory over this particular disease. Maybe all 100,000 those who have been infected might not have been cured by that time, but at least if we can see a declining trend, then that will be the first green shoot that we should all look after. Now coming to June, what's going to happen is that it will depend on the pan India scenario. In the pan India scenario, as we know, looking from the prism of Goa, look at our source markets: Delhi infected, Gujarat infected, Mumbai infected, other metros also in large measure, they are also going through the similar problem. So when the source markets are affected and you have a big problem as far as uncertainty in flight connectivity, in rail connectivity, in bus connectivity, then that's the problem. When you cannot get people to travel to Goa because of these factors, A. B, on their own, probably if people avoid traveling due to various factors like loss of jobs or other economic priorities on hand, or for the simple fear factor, which probably might keep people on the grounded in their homes for the next 1 month, even after the measures have been substantially liberalized. So that's going to be the next lookout point for us. Now, having said that,
Yes,
Yeah,
please
please
continue.
continue.
Continue. Sorry.
yes. Now, having said that, I am very optimistic because we have been studying the various travel trends. I was on a conference call with the top brass of Make My Trip India in this morning, and I've also requested them to share certain insights as to what are the trends that are looking forward. Now, gathering all this information, I'm very pleased to tell you that people, a lot of them, especially the youngsters, they cannot wait for these restrictions to be lifted and take the next flight or train or even a bus or anything that they can to come to Goa. And we are also very optimistic, and the trends very clearly indicate, and also the socio-economic factors will also dictate that international travel is going to be very badly hit. That is, outbound travel from India to international destinations is going to be badly hit in the next 1 year or so, just because people are not probably not going to take that risk, and they are going to avoid all sorts of discretionary travel. Now when that happens, that puts Goa in a very good bracket altogether, because then where do you get a state with such a mix of cultures, the Western culture, the Indian culture, known for its nightlife, everything that a place like Bali has to offer, even a small European country has to offer. We can offer all that. So I think Goa is going to be pretty well placed once the restrictions are lifted, and I don't think there should be any problem as far as influx of tourists is concerned. But the question is when. Nobody has a definite answer to all this, because it will depend on a lot of factors: how the country copes up, what kind of growth are we going to see in this. And no sooner we achieve a victory or we manage to flatten this disease, then I'm sure tourism sector will begin looking up. But till then, it's going to be a challenge. The second challenge I see is a lot of people who were from other parts of the country, they have already probably left for their hometown. So getting them back is also going to be key, because as we know, we are a small state with a population of 1.5 million. We cannot have enough manpower to source locally. So we are dependent on manpower from outside as well. but a lot of people who have migrated outside, then coming back and then restarting their normal operations is going to be a challenge. At this moment, a lot of hospitality units are undertaking basic maintenance and other jobs, so they are keeping the powder dry, getting themselves ready for the forthcoming season. And a fair amount of indication, most of the larger chains, what has come about is that they are also waiting and watching, but all of them have braced to the fact that it would make economic sense for them to open somewhere close to September or October, once we have seen the worst, we managed to put the worst behind us, and they are in a position to get healthy occupancies, because at this current level of occupancy, if they function at 20-30% occupancy level, then we know that it's a no-brainer. It's not going to make any economic sense. So that is also weighing on a lot of their minds, and they are bracing themselves for full resumption of operation by September or October. And of course, a lot of them are ready to even commence before that, as early as in July or August, because it's a little desperate situation today, because their cash flows have stopped. They have their outgoings haven't stopped. Their EMIs, their loans, and so many other measures. It's not a very easy and a very rosy kind of a situation. Every hospitality partner, every hospitality brand has its own set of challenges, and they are trying their best in their own manner to how to come out of this. The government is listening to them. We are also we are very, very hopeful that this situation comes back to normal, because please appreciate the fact that almost one third, between 35 to 40% of people depend on their livelihoods for tourism and hospitality and allied sectors in Goa. It contributes to almost one fourth of our gross domestic product. So this is a sector we are completely betting on this sector. Now with mining down in the past couple of years, we were sustaining on tourism. Now that tourism has been badly affected, it is a kind of a nightmarish scenario for us. But given the potential of Goa, given our vibrancy of this sector, I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to bounce back and make up for the lost time.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Desai. It really helps when somebody of your stature comes online, addresses a crowd of 500 plus agents, and gives these words of encouragement. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you later for the Q&As from the other agents. So now moving on, we will now move on to the Alcon Victor Group. Jaishil is a part of Alcon Victor Group, and he'll be taking us through the hotels. They have 4 hotels in total. Jaishil, over to you.
Yes.
You can share your screen.
Yes.
Just before Jaishil starts the screen, I would just like to name those 4 hotels. It's Radisson Blu, Novotel Dona Silvia, Radisson at Candlelim, and the Mercure Devaya Resort. Jaishil, over to you.
Yeah, just a minute. Rishabh, I'm not able to.
Slideshow, go to slideshow. Top, you can see slideshow now. On the top, next to transition animation slideshow.
Yeah.
Huh. There will be an option there. Just click on that.
I've clicked it.
Can you restart the PPT once again, Jashi?
Yeah, I'll just do that. Just hold on.
Yeah, from beginning. It's there on the top left. From beginning, just click there. Yeah. Yeah, Jashi, it's perfect. You can start.
Okay. Good morning, all. Firstly, I would like to thank Classic Holidays for giving us an opportunity to showcase our hotels today. Without losing much time, I would like to begin the presentation by giving a short brief about the Alcon Victor Group. The inception of the Alcon Victor Group was in the year 1971. Since then, we have strongly strengthened our base in the field of travel tourism, hospitality, and healthcare. As Rishabh mentioned earlier, there are 4 hotels in our group at the moment. It's Radisson Blu Resort Goa Cavlossim, Radisson Goa Candolim, Radisson Goa Novotel Goa Donna Silvia, and Mercure Devaya Retreat. Let's begin with Radisson Blu Resort Goa Cavlossim. The property is located in south of Goa on the Cavlossim beach. The property is spread across 15 acres of land and comprises of 132 luxurious rooms, 2 banquet halls, 1 boardroom, 4 dining outlets, plush lawns ideal for MICE weddings and outdoor events, spa, and a gymnasium. I will elaborate on each and every point as we move further. As mentioned earlier, Radisson Blu Resort Goa has got total of 132 rooms, out of which 32 rooms are in the main block, which consists of 30 superior rooms and 2 executive suites. While the remaining 100 rooms, those are the suites and the premium villas, are spread across in the form of villas. We have 4 dining outlets at the property. Upper deck, the 24/7 coffee shop. Sagres, the lounge and bar. Lucio, the Goan Portuguese specialty restaurant. And Greco, the discotheque, which is also one of the USP of the hotel. Now coming to the indoor and outdoor venues, we are well equipped to host MICE and social events, especially weddings. Lisboa, our biggest venue at the hotel, which is 3,300 square feet, can easily accommodate 400 packs in theater seating and 170 packs in cluster seating. If a breakaway venue is required, then Lisboa can be divided into 2. Porto, the 850 square feet banquet hall, can accommodate 90 packs in theater style and 48 packs in cluster. Sintra, the boardroom, can accommodate 250 packs, which is 250 square feet, can accommodate 10 packs in boardroom setup. Apart from these, we also have lush green outdoor lawns, which can cater to 1,500 packs in cluster seating. Being a beach property, we can also host beach and wedding events and even sundowner events on our beach. The property also has an in-house spa offering Western and Ayurveda treatments and a fully equipped gymnasium. The hotel is easily accessible from Dabolim Airport. It's 40 kilometers from Dabolim Airport, 55 kilometers from Panjim City, 17 kilometers from Margao railway station. I would also like to highlight at this point that our property Radisson Blu Goa Cavlossim has ranked 2nd in Pan India amongst all the RHG group of hotels in terms of cleanliness, service turnaround time, and food quality.
Jashil, sorry to interrupt you. Can you just be a little louder, please? Little louder.
Yes.
Yeah, better.
Yeah. So moving to our second property in the list, which is Novotel Goa Donna Silvia. Novotel Goa Donna Silvia is interlinked to the Radisson Blu Goa Cavlossim, located in the south of Goa on Cavlossim Beach. The property is spread across 20 acres of lush green landscape and comprises of 181 Mediterranean style rooms, which are all in villas. The room bifurcation of the property would be as follows. We have 70 boutique villa rooms. We have 5 executive villa suites. We have 16 sea-facing premium villas, and we have 90 executive villa rooms. We have 4 dining options at the Novotel Donna Silvia. Seagull, which is the 24/7 coffee shop. Amalia, the only vegan bar in the south of Goa. Mamma Mia for your grilling options. Kebabs and curries, the Indian restaurant with Mughlai as a specialty. We also have Novotel Goa Donna Silvia also offers various options to host corporate meetings and gala celebrations. We have 2 conference halls. Betul, which is 185 square feet, can accommodate 150 packs in theater style and 70 packs in cluster seating. Mobor, which is 2070 square feet, can accommodate 200 packs in theater seating and 90 packs in cluster seating. We also have huge lawns that can cater to over 200 packs and is ideal to host multiple events and weddings. The property also has a well-equipped gymnasium and a spa to enhance your wellness experience. Amongst all the 4 hotels in Alcon Victor Group, Novotel Goa Donna Silvia is the only pet-friendly hotel. So combined together, the Radisson Blue Resort Goa Cavalossim and the Novotel Goa Donna Silvia can offer 313 rooms with multiple venue options. I repeat, combined together, the Radisson Blue Resort Goa Cavalossim and the Novotel Goa Donna Silvia can offer 313 rooms with multiple venue options. Rishabh?
Jashil, is it okay if we play the video once you are done?
Yes, if you can just play the video.
No, I'm saying I will play the video once you are done with all 4 properties.
So you want to play both the videos together?
Yeah, I'll do that. Just finish your PPT first, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So coming up next, I will run you through our third property, that is Radisson Goa Candolim. Radisson Candolim is a boutique resort located in Candolim on the Kalangut beach belt, which is one of the most happening place in Goa. It is just 2 kilometers away from the famous Fort Aguada. The resort comprises of 78 rooms and suites that are luxuriously furnished, spacious and comfortable. We have 4 suite rooms, 25 deluxe rooms, 16 executive rooms and 33 standard rooms. There are 2 dining options at the property, Palms, the 24/7 coffee shop, and Red Mango, the poolside restaurant and bar. With regards to MICE, we have 3 options available. Coral, which is 2,300 square feet, can accommodate 90 packs in cluster and 150 packs in theater. Oyster, the breakaway venue, can accommodate 12 packs in cluster and 25 packs in theater. Conch, the boardroom, can accommodate 12 packs in boardroom setup. The property also offers recreation rooms, fitness centers, and outdoor swimming pool for our guests. The distance from the airport is 37 kilometers. It's 12 kilometers from Panjim city, and it is 22 kilometers from Tivim railway station. Radisson Goa Candolim has ranked 5th in Pan India amongst all the RHG group of hotels. The last property I would be presenting today would be the Mercure Devaya Retreat. Devaya, which means divine healing, is a property set on lush 5 acres of land on the beautiful Diwar Island, which is very near to Goa's capital city, Panjim. The retreat consists of 60 luxurious rooms built in true Goan style. Mercure Devaya Retreat offers Ayurveda, naturopathy, yoga treatments and therapies by highly skilled team of doctors, Vaidyas and therapists. I have displayed a few therapies and treatments offered at the property for your reference. So at the property, we organize daily yoga and meditation sessions to help guests develop harmony of mind and body through physical, mental, and spiritual discipline. We have 4 diet centers serving Ayurveda and wellness diet for better health. Amboi serves light and healthy microbiotic, Ayurvedic, and Indian delicacies. Malar, our poolside AC restaurant, serves a la carte vegetarian menu. Manas serves Ayurvedic breakfast and lunch options, while Jetty serves healthy snacks and juices. So there is a lot to do while at the property. Apart from yoga treatments and meditation, one can also experience cooking demonstrations, visit the library, use the swimming pool, jacuzzi, or get natural beauty treatments and hairstyling at the salon. Also, the famous Bollywood celebrity Mrs. Hema Malini is the brand ambassador of this property. Thank you. Over to you, Rishabh.
Thank you, Jayashil. If you can just stop sharing your screen, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will be playing a few videos of the Radisson Novotel and the Mercure Devaya now. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm going to play it now. That was Radisson Blu and Novotel Dona Silvia, one of the most exotic 5-star hotels resorts you will have in South Goa. Moving on to the Mercure Devaya retreat, the video will be played right now.
discover my true self.
So that was Mercure Devaya for you. I think in today's times, everybody is in need of a little bit of yoga and internal healing. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. So Mr. Vinay, hi. So we also have Mr. Vinay here from us, the director of the Alcon Victor Group, the owner of all these 4 hotels. Do you want to say a few words before we move on to Indie Hospitality?
Yes, I'd like to say that while we are currently looking at a very fluid situation because of the COVID, we are geared up to start as soon as we get a green signal from the government. And hopefully, we will be ready in 48 hours, maybe 72 hours to start operations. And we'll definitely look forward to all the support of all the travel fraternity. And we in turn will also look at how we can support the fraternity at this point of time in terms of rates, services, offering new packages, new services, keeping in mind the COVID situation that will be now part and parcel of our lives.
Thank you, Mr. Vinay. So before moving on to Indie Hospitality, as we've always done, we'll be having a few questions thrown at all our participants. It is part of a contest which will win you a few nights at these amazing Goa resorts. So the first of the 5 questions will be on your screen right now. When clubbed together, the question is, when clubbed together, Radisson Blu Resort, Cavalossim and Novotel Dona Silvia can offer how many rooms? I think majority of you have got it right. The correct answer is 313 rooms. So that's a great amount of rooms that can be at your service. The second question for today: which property in the Alcon Victor Group has an in-house discotheque or a nightclub? This might be a little tricky if people have not heard you properly, Jayashil.
Yes, Rishabh.
So Jayashil, do you want to give the answer to this?
Yes, out of all the 4 hotels, it's the Radisson Blu Resort Goa Cavalossim, which has got an in-house discotheque by the name of Greco.
Great, thanks, Jayashil. The last question for the Alcon Victor Group before we move on to Indie is on your screen right now. Who is the brand ambassador for Mercure Devaya? I don't think anybody can go wrong in this. So again, 94% of the people have given the correct answer. It is the evergreen Hema Malini who is the brand ambassador. So Mr. Ajit, are you ready? Can I share my screen? You have to unmute yourself first.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, 1 second. I'll just share my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's set to play.
Okay, you can start.
No, I can't see anything on the backdrop, the PPT. Can you put it on?
It's 1 second. I'll just come on. Hold on. Are you going? 1 second. I'll just try and share it again.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good morning, all. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Suresh Doshi and Rishabh for organizing this wonderful session with more than about 500 participants. And especially in this challenging time, I hope and pray that our industry will bounce back and have the Achedin, as Mr. Desai said, like in the near future. Indie Hospitality, it's a young venture launched in 2018 and now manages and operates 5 hotels spread in south and north of Goa, which falls in the upper mid-scale segments. This venture again is an initiative from the Albacores, who are hospitality players in Goa since last 35 years. Rishabh, can you go into the next slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the presence of our offices. We are trying to create the sales checkpoints at all the major cities. Rishabh, next slide, if you can go through. Yeah, it's 2 properties are in south of Goa in the name of Coconut Grove and Indie Waterfront. One is with a private beach access and other one with a backwater and a riverfront. Now let's go to the property, to the next slide. Yeah, next one. Yeah, this is O Pescado, which is in the north of Goa at the Donapola beach. It's one of the most popular, as we all know, like one of the synonym names in North Goa as far as the beaches are concerned. So it's a product with 22 rooms with a private beach access. The property is surrounded by water. It's one side is the ocean and the other side is the Mandavi River backwaters. It do have 4 categories of accommodation. Rishabh?
Can I play the video?
You can, yeah, please. What you're seeing on the screen is the product. Thank you, Rishabh.
Thank you.
Just to sum it up, O Pescado, oh, you're playing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. O Pescado, the meaning itself is the fisherman, because we had the fishing hamlet Ceylon. That gives an idea about how close are we to the water. And it's a property which do have acceptable rating in terms of the TripAdvisor. It falls into a 4.8% of rating. And it do have enough of open spaces which can cater to the public, the private gatherings and get-togethers. And very accessible from the Panjim, too close by, and the nearest railway station would be the Karmali, and of course the airport being Tapal. Rishabh, next slide.
Yeah.
So as I said, like the 22 rooms had been categorized between 4 categories. That's the bay view, the beach combo, the harbor rooms, and the suites. And all the rooms are with all the modern amenities what we can expect of. We do have an all-day dining in the name of Pikana. Rishabh, go on. The activities what you can indulge. Most of us know that what we can do in and around at these places. The second property, which is in the south of Goa at Bethel Bottom. The precise beach is called the Desai Beach, where we are. All cottage style accommodation with about 500 meters to the water. You played the video? Yeah, go on. Thank you, Rishabh. Yeah, the property has got 38 deluxe rooms and 2 suites. That's the total inventory. And even it do have facilities which we can cater to smaller groups in terms of MICE is concerned. This is what the product is all about. It do have the other facilities like in-room dining, specialty restaurants, and so on and so forth. Trikana is the restaurant, Tequila is the bar out there. And other than like the normal sightseeing of Goa, we can tailor make quite a bit of exciting sightseeing options in South. That's the Houses of Goa, Shamrock Tour, the Bat Island, and so on and so forth. We can share you the details, and we do have the facility to get it organized as well. The third one, we are again coming back to North. It's a property which do have a casino facility, one of the first casinos in Goa. 53 rooms it's the largest inventory in the hotel portfolio what we have, and the rooms are about 30 square meter rooms, quite large and spacious enough, and the suites are about 57 to 59 square meters. We do have a specialty restaurant, all-day dining option, and multiple options for MICE. We do have a ballroom which can cater about 120 packs in theater, 120 to 130 packs in theater. And we do have other options to 60 to 70 and so on and so forth. And the superior rooms are about 21, the deluxe. The only difference is the amenities in the rooms. Otherwise, the room sizes are almost the same. Whereas the suites, as I said, is about 57 to 60 square meters, quite large rooms. We do have packages which is customized, especially for the clients, the in-house clients at the casino. The details could be shared as and when required. Go ahead, Rishabh. Yep. Yeah. This is the fourth property, which is as I said, which do have a riverfront, which is in south of Goa at Velim, which is close to Mobo. Again, the property is with a total inventory of 22 rooms. Half of that is with the river view, and the other part is with the backwater view. It do, as you know, like how close it is to the water. Rishabh, if you could play in, yeah. Thanks, Rishabh. The next slide, if you could. Yeah, go ahead. As I said, like it do have, half the rooms which comes in for the river view and half with the backwater view. It do have a riverside dining option, and it do can cater to smaller gatherings for private functions. Activities around cycle tours, fishing trips, and whatever which is available in south of Goa, and what normal hotels offer, we do offer the Shando Heritage Walk and so on and so forth in addition. And the last property, this is the latest to add on to the Indy portfolio. It's the La Maison. This is in the heart of Panjim, which is about 3 minutes walk from the municipal garden area. A small property, a heritage property with 8 rooms is which we have. It's a heritage product, an upmarket property down there. And this is very lately which we had taken over this product in. And it do have a dining option as well. So we do have our presence from south to north and even within the Panjim city to explore. Thank you for the time. And once again, thank you, Rishabh, for assisting in terms of the presentation.
Thank you very much. So without wasting much time, Vinayji, any words for Indy? You're muted, sir.
We have a collection of boutique hotels as well as some casino hotel. We look at small personalized service, a very boutique experience, and doing offbeat tours and tours around Goa. So trying to recreate the Goan flavor with Indy hotels.
Okay, thank you, sir. So moving on, the final 2 questions for the contest today will be on your screens right now. What does O Pescador mean? I think Ajit also pressed upon this in his PPT, and yes, 70% of the people have given the correct answer. O Pescador means fisherman. The last question for today. On which beach is Indy Coconut Grove located?
Interesting.
Ajit, I'll make you answer this, because I don't think they've heard the name of this beach also.
Absolutely. It is the Dias Beach at the Bethel Bathing site.
And
about 13%.
Only 13% of the people are given the correct answer. So I think today's winners are going to be a small lot to choose from. So thank you, Ajit. Moving on, we will be now opening the floor to questions and answers. Mr. Desai, I hope you're there with us. Yeah. There are a lot of questions for you in this Q&A round. I hope you'll answer them. So taking up the first question, it comes from an anonymous attendee. It's he or she is asking, what is the loss that you think Goa tourism is going to incur because you will not be expecting foreign travelers this year?
Well, it's a little bit far-fetched at this point of time to presume that we will not be expecting foreign travelers. Who knows, probably if all goes well, then by October, November, we could reach full normalcy levels as far as international travel is concerned. I would still hope that that happens. Now, it is extremely difficult to estimate the loss at this point of time, but we have undertaken a small exercise. We have a in-house research team which is headed by KPMG, and they have been reaching out to various stakeholders, and they have been coming out with an estimate of probable losses that have happened. Now, as per what we have noticed is from the time the lockdown was initiated till date, we are staring at direct losses of close to around 1,000 crore rupees. This is till May, but if the situation does not improve from here on, and we are looking at more extended periods of lockdown or restrictions, then these losses could spiral up. Now, this is an estimate based on the inputs that we have received from various industry. Hopefully, in the next month or so, we will be able to come out with a final tally as to what would we will try and quantify to the extent possible the kind of losses that the industry could be staring at. But as of now, till May, from the time we entered into a lockdown phase, direct losses are close to about 1,000 crore for the local tourism industry in Goa.
Thank you, sir. The next question is Mr. Vinay. Ashwini Arya is asking you, if the government is saying that the weddings will have to be with very limited guests, with around 50 guests, and how are the hotels in Goa gearing up? Because every wedding has 50 people who come from outside, like who are doing mehndi, decor, light, and sound. So how are you going to cope up with your wedding queries?
We will have to create SOPs based on social distancing, how various event organizers, suppliers and all will be allowed to do up the place, to decorate, to create the themes that are required. We are working on this. It will take us another couple of days before we have all this in place.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Ajit, if you can answer this next question, you said the Chances Resort also has a casino in-house. So is the casino entry free for in-house guests or is it chargeable? You have to unmute yourself. You have to unmute yourself, Ajit.
Yeah. We do have special packages for the in-house client for the casino, which is not open for a non-residential guest.
Great. Thank you, Ajit. Mr. Desai, the next question, I think this pertains to a lot, in fact, not a lot, to all us travel agents and to the hospitality industry. As you know that the government, we were not included in the special package given by the government, either for the hospitality or the tourism industry. Do you think, do you have any words on that?
Well, why do we presume that there isn't anything in it for the hospitality industry? Probably the government has reserved the best for the last. But having said that, I'm sure, as I said before, 8% of the total employment and close to 10% of our GDP contribution is what the tourism and hospitality sector contributes. It is far bigger sector, far important sector for it to be ignored. I am definitely, I'm very much confident that some good announcement as far as hospitality and tourism is round the corner. The central government is also reviewing various options, and they are evaluating their strategies. And there is whatever has happened, it is not the final word on it. I'm sure we can look forward to some meaningful announcements in the days to come. And a lot of people are having this expectation that there will be some kind of direct financial assistance or monetary doles. I think let us be very pragmatic in the current times. From where does the government get its fund? The funds come in through taxes. Once there's a normal functioning in the society, that's where the majority of the government revenues come from. And needless to say, we don't get our revenues from thin air. So when the entire country is in a state of lockdown, the revenue collections are far below normal. Some states have reported as drop to the extent of 80 to 90% of their revenues. That is massive by any standards. And government has got several sectors to look after. The first important sector is the health sector, where we are all battling. Then there is a safety and security. So obviously the government will have its priorities set. And when the time is right, I'm sure we'll have some great announcement for the hospitality sector. And there could be announcement in terms of making, in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of improving our capacities to attract things like MICE tourism from the rest of the world. So I'm sure India is in, we are in for very good times in the days to come. It's just that situation is extremely fluid at this point of time, and it wouldn't be very easy to put a finger on this is the right strategy or that is the right strategy. So I think we should wait it out, hope for the disease to be under control, and that definitely we can look at good days ahead.
Thank you. So another question for you. This question is by Mr. Vikas Gupta. Uh, the Goa Miles product that has come into Goa just a few months or years back, sorry, is that a part of, or is that being done by Goa Tourism, number one? And are there any ways, or in the future, can we see something like an Ola, Uber coming into Goa?
Well, yes. In fact, Goa Miles is the first app-based taxi system started by any tourism board anywhere in the world, and it is going great guns. We have got over 2,400 taxis registered with us. In fact, that was one of the biggest demands from the hospitality industry, that Goa should have its own app-based system. The taxi rates need to be properly regulated. So two things have happened. One is Goa Miles going great guns. It's got over, I think, close to 500,000 downloads now. It's becoming very popular as a service. The tourists are preferring it, and the rates are also extremely competitive. So yes, it is here to stay. Well, Ola and Uber, I don't know what is stopping them from entering Goa. The door is open. But having said that, I think well, in Goa Miles we follow a policy wherein we do not charge 1 rupee from the driver. Okay, so as a result, the end customer pays anywhere between 20 to 80 rupees, depending on the duration of the ride and the distance, as a convenience fee to get access to a taxi. Now, Ola and Uber works on a completely diametrically different model. So I think one of the issues that they have is that in Goa Miles, we do not charge a single penny from the driver, whereas their model is different. So probably they are contemplating on how do they come around this particular system. But legally there is no bar, and I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you the reason why they aren't here. But yes, Goa Mile is here. We've got all the local taxi drivers, to about 2,400 of them registered already, and it's doing great as a product.
I think it's just
We hope other states also. We hope other states also accept it. So if Goa Miles or something like that similar can go into other states as well, it'll serve as a competition to the established players, and that's good for the consumers.
Yeah, it's just another way of reiterating the Prime Minister going vocal for local.
Yes, it's a pure Swadeshi product, and it is technologically also, people have rated it on par with the best in the world.
Thank you. Mr. Vinay, one question that a lot of agents are asking here in the Q&A section is, how do you feel, because you have so many hotels that are there in Goa, how do you think the tariffs will play out now once the tourism starts in Goa? Will they be high? Will they be low? Will they be the same that has been last year?
The tariffs will be on par with what was there, because all our costs are definitely going up. Our room opening costs are going up. We will now have to look at investing in PPE for the let's say for the housekeeping. We will have to do social distancing in restaurants. We will have to stop offering buffets. We will have to do pre-plated service in the restaurants. There'll be a lot more hygiene and sanitation parameters. For the rooms, one checks out, room cannot be sold for 48 hours. It has to be quarantined. So all these things will start coming into play, and we will have to see how viable and how at what price we can offer without affecting cash flows and without driving away without putting off the guests.
Thank you, sir. Another question by Nidhi Banka. She's asking, sir, is the Indie Coconut Grove senior citizen friendly, considering it has only cottage accommodations?
Yes, it is completely senior citizen friendly. It is totally wheelchair accessible. And the only place you probably won't be able to access is the beach by wheelchair. But otherwise, the entire property is wheelchair accessible.
And Mr. Vinay, any other plans to, of course, not in the near future, not suddenly, but any future plans to open up more properties outside Goa?
For sure, we're definitely looking at it. We're definitely looking at taking Indie pan-India.
Okay, great. So I think that brings us to an end to this Q&A round. Just one more announcement to all our participants here. Siddharth will be posting the future webinars in the chat box right now. Please go ahead and register for the same. One very important webinar coming up on Friday will be of the Evolve Back Research. I really urge everybody to be there on that day because it is going to be a live webinar. The hotels are going to be shown to you live from the phones of Mr. Thomas Ramapuram, and we will be taking you through everything live. There will be no PPT. So please be there. It's a one-of-a-kind webinar. Thank you, Mr. Desai. Thank you, Mr. Vinay. Thank you, Ajit, Jaishil for being here today, for giving this great insight about all these 8-odd hotels, about your 8-odd hotels. And thank you once again, Mr. Desai, for giving those amazing words of encouragement for Goa tourism.
Thank you, Rishabh.
Thank you, Nikhil.
Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you, Mr. Desai. Thank you
for having us. Thank you.
Hello.
Sorry, sir, I couldn't hear you. Come again, Mr. Vinay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rishabh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you there tomorrow.
To all the participants, and thank you to all the participants for being part of this webinar. Much obliged.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.